The night Neville came to me, he was broke, truly broke. The coat on his back was too thin for a New York winter, and I watched him stand in my room shivering, not from the cold alone, but from the weight of a man who has run out of ideas about how the world works. He did not want a philosophy from me that night. He wanted to go to Barbados. He wanted to spend the winter on that island with his family, and he had no money and no prospect of money, and every fact in front of him said it was impossible. And I told him 3 things to do before he closed his eyes that night. Not in the morning, not during the day when the mind is busy and the will is strong, the moment before sleep. He argued with me. Of course he argued. He was standing in a cold room in New York, and I was telling him to sleep as though he were already on that island. He said, "Abdullah, I am here. I am not there." And I said to him, "Neville, you are in Barbados. Sleep there tonight. Tonight, I am going to give you the same 3 things I gave him, because you are closer to the door than you think. You have been walking past it every single night of your life, and no one ever turned you toward it. So listen to me, and let me turn you toward it now. Let me tell you what is going to happen to you in the next few days. Something ordinary is going to go wrong. I want you to hear this clearly, because when it happens, you will remember that I told you. A message you have been waiting for will not come, or it will come, and it will say the wrong thing. A bill will arrive, a number on a screen, a name you did not want to see. And here is what I want you to notice in that moment. You will feel almost nothing. Where there used to be a drop in your stomach, a cold falling sensation, there will be stillness. You will stand there and you will wonder, quietly, why it did not reach you, why it did not knock you down the way it always used to. And the answer will be that tonight is where it began, not because you tried harder, not because you fought your feelings or forced a smile, but because you finally did, before sleep, the one thing you were never taught to do. I know why you are here, and I know what you have been doing. Let me tell it back to you, so you know that I see you. All day you build the wish. You visualize in the car. You affirm in the mirror. You catch yourself thinking the wrong thought, and you correct it, gently, the way you have been taught. You do the work in the daylight, and then night comes, the one moment that actually matters, the only moment that was ever going to matter, and you hand it all back. You lie down in your bed and you rehearse the day's disappointments. You replay the conversation that went wrong. You fall asleep as the person who does not have it, who has never had it, who is beginning to wonder if he ever will. You have been doing the work in the daylight and undoing it in the dark. Every single night, you have been erasing the very thing you spent the day drawing. And there is a fear underneath all of it that you have never once said out loud. I am going to say it for you. It is not the fear that this will not work. That is the loud fear, the one you talk about. Underneath it is a quieter one. It is the fear that if it does work, if the good actually comes, you will not be able to keep it, that the good is on loan, that something is coming, eventually, to collect, that you are not the kind of person the good stays with. I want you to hear me now, because this is the turn. The root of your struggle is not your technique. It is not your discipline. It is not whether you visualized long enough or felt hard enough or said the words in the right order. The root is who you believe yourself to be in the instant before you lose consciousness. You are not failing at a method. You are falling asleep as the wrong self. So let me give you the line I want you to carry through everything I am about to say. Hold it. You fall asleep as someone. Tonight, choose who. Neville wrote about a man once. The power of awareness. An unemployed man, no position, no prospects, nothing in the outer world to justify a single hopeful thought. And this man did something most people never think to do. Each night, in that drowsy state on the way to sleep, he assumed the feeling of already having the position he wanted, the income he wanted, the security he wanted. He did not lie there wishing for it. He slept in the feeling of already having it, night after night after night, and the outer world, which had nothing to offer him when he began, slowly, inevitably, rearranged itself until it matched the man he had become in the dark. He did not chase it in the daytime, he slept in it, and the world had no choice but to become the shelf that held what he had already accepted. Now hear me, this is the exact mistake you are making, and I say mistake with love, because it is the mistake of a person who is doing almost everything right. You have the right effort. You have simply been spending it in the wrong hour. That man did at night the very thing you abandon at night. And I want to tell you why your results have felt so inconsistent, because I need you to hear this as relief, not as one more failure. A full nightly practice is not one movement, it is several. You clear the day. You correct the conversation running inside your head. You build one precise scene, and then you fall asleep inside it. Most people, if they do anything at all, do one of these, and then they wonder why the thing flickers, why it comes and goes, why some nights feel powerful, and most feel like nothing. It was never that you were incapable. The routine was simply incomplete. It was never you failing. It was a practice missing 3 of its 4 parts. So I wrote something down, a short, free guide. I called it Rewrite Tonight. It is a complete 3-minute pre-sleep revision protocol. How to choose the 3 moments from your day that are disturbing your sleep, how to revise each one until your subconscious carries a clean record into the night instead of a wounded one, and how to feel the clearing that lets every other technique finally reach the deeper mind. It is free and it is immediate. It is the first link in the description below. Open it tonight. Or, if that is easier, comment the single word reset, and I will point you to it. There is also, for anyone who wants to go further, a complete 7-night, 4-part guided version, the transfer protocol, through that same link. That one is $27, and it is the deeper work, for later, if you ever want it. But you do not need it tonight. Start with the free guide. That is all you need. I mean that. Now let me teach you the thing underneath all 3 of these movements, because if you understand this one thing, the rest becomes obvious. There is a state you pass through every single night on your way to sleep. You know it. That drowsy, heavy state when the daylight mind is letting go, when your thoughts stop marching in straight lines and begin to drift. Neville called it the state akin to sleep. It is the single moment in your whole day when the door to the subconscious stands open. And here is the law that governs it, spoken by Neville plainly. Sleep is the door through which we enter, unwittingly, the subconscious. Unwittingly, meaning most people walk through that door every night with no idea what they are carrying, and they plant whatever happens to be in their hands. What are you carrying through it? Not what you thought about all day, not your affirmations from the morning, what you felt as you crossed the threshold, because Neville told us the secret, and he did not hide it. He put it in the title of a book. Feeling is the secret. Feeling is the one and only medium through which ideas are conveyed to the subconscious. The one and only medium. Not thinking, not willing, not repeating. Feeling. And the reason this matters so completely is the nature of the subconscious itself. It does not argue. It does not check your claim against the facts. It does not verify. It receives whatever it is impressed with, and it sets to work objectifying it, building it out into the world, without question and without exception. The subconscious, Neville said, is the womb of creation. So the self you fall asleep as is the self it goes to work building all night long. Do you see now why the hour matters? Do you see why you can win the whole day and lose it all in the last 90 seconds? So let us walk into the three things, not as a list. I do not want you to hear these as a list. I want you to arrive at each one with me, the way Neville arrived at them, slowly, until each one stopped being an instruction and became something you simply knew. The first is this: do not sleep on an unedited day. You think the day is over because it happened, because the clock moved and the events occurred, and now they are behind you, fixed, finished, unchangeable. But listen to me. The day is not over because it happened. The day is over when you sleep on it. And whatever version of today you carry into sleep, that is the version you make real. Not the version that occurred, the version you slept on. This is what Neville called revision, and it was not a theory to him. It was a nightly discipline he practiced to the end of his life. At the end of each day, before sleep, he would go back over the events that had disturbed him, the conversation that stung, the moment someone was cold to him, the disappointment, the failure, the harsh word, and he would replay each one, in his imagination, rewritten, not as it happened, as he wished it had happened. He would see the cold person turn warm. He would see the failure become a success. He would live the corrected scene until it felt real, until the sting was gone. And why does this work? Because the subconscious cannot tell the difference between a memory that literally occurred and a scene you vividly imagined and felt. It cannot tell the difference. The felt scene is what gets impressed, whether it happened in the street or only in your imagination as you lay in the dark. This is not lying to yourself. This is choosing which version of your life to feed to the womb of creation. Neville said, and I want you to hold these words: if the reader will practice revision daily, revising every unlovely scene, he will experience a transformation of himself and his world that will exceed his wildest dreams. Exceed his wildest dreams. From revising the day, from refusing to sleep on a wound. So here is what you do. Before you sleep, you pick the moments that stung, and you replay them corrected, not fighting the feeling, not arguing with what happened, just gently living the better version, until the feeling clears, until your chest loosens, until the scene that hurt you no longer has a grip on you. You do not carry the wound through the door. You carry the healing. The second thing arrives naturally out of the first, and it is this: end the argument before you close your eyes. You think you fall asleep in silence. You do not. No one falls asleep in silence. You fall asleep in the middle of a conversation, and if you are honest with yourself, it is usually an argument, and usually an argument you are losing. You are defending yourself to someone who is not there. You are rehearsing what you should have said. You are explaining, justifying, protesting, replaying, and that inner conversation, that stream of silent talking you fall asleep inside of, that is what writes tomorrow. Neville taught this precisely. He said the outer world is nothing but our inner conversations made visible, crystallized, that the reason your life looks the way it looks is that you have been talking to yourself all day, every day, in a certain way, and the world has simply hardened around that inner speech. Change the inner conversation, he said, and you change the outer condition. There is no other way, and there is no exception. And here is the line I want to sit at the center of this one. because it undoes the whole illusion. Neville said, "Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness." Read that with me again in your mind. Your chief delusion, the one that has cost you the most, is your conviction that something out there is causing your life. The boss, the bank, the person who let you down, the economy, the past. Neville is telling you, and I am telling you, that there is no cause out there. The cause is the state of consciousness you are living in and the conversations you are carrying on inside it. So catch the sentence you are rehearsing as you go under tonight. Just catch it, notice it, and then replace it. Do not fall asleep mid-argument. Fall asleep in the conversation you would be having if the wish were already fulfilled, the thank you would say, the phone call where a friend congratulates you, the quiet confirmation from someone that it is done, it came through, it worked out. Fall asleep inside that conversation, and you have just told the womb of creation what to build. And now the third, which is where the first two were always leading. Fall asleep as the one who already has it. Hear the difference in this, because it is everything. Stop trying to fall asleep thinking about the wish. Thinking about it keeps it at a distance. It makes it a thing over there that you are looking at, wanting, reaching for. And wanting is a confession of not having. As long as you are wanting it, you are being the person who does not have it. And that is the person you are impressing on the subconscious. Do not fall asleep thinking about the wish. Fall asleep from inside it. This is the state Neville was taught to enter, and it is exactly what I told him to do in that cold room. I did not tell him to think about Barbados. I told him he was in Barbados. I had him feel the deck of the ship beneath his feet as he walked across the room. I had him sleep as a man who was already on that island, who had already made the crossing, who could smell the sea air and feel the warmth on his skin. He was to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let that feeling, not the pictures, the feeling, carry him down into sleep. And he did it. He argued first, and then he did it. And that winter, penniless, with no visible way, Neville spent the season in Barbados. The world became the shelf that held what he had already accepted in the dark. Neville said it this way: to be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. Not one thought, the whole basis. And the way you change the whole basis is not by force in the daylight, it is by who you consent to be at the threshold of sleep. He said, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and continue feeling that it is fulfilled until that which you feel to be true is objectified. Continue feeling it until the world objectifies it. That is the whole law in one sentence. So build one scene, just one, short and vivid, a scene that could only be true if the wish were already yours. Someone shaking your hand, a key turning in a door that is now your door, a voice saying the words you have been longing to hear, and you enter that scene in the drowsy state and you let it loop, softly, until it carries you under, not straining, not concentrating hard, drifting into it, and letting it become the last thing you are before you are nothing at all for the night. Now I told you at the beginning about a fear you have never spoken, the fear that the good will be taken, that something is coming to collect. I want to tell you what that fear actually is, because you have had it all wrong, and the truth of it is going to set you free. That fear is not weakness. It is not a flaw in you. It is not evidence that you are doing this wrong or that you are not spiritual enough or disciplined enough. That fear is the old self, the self who believed for your whole life that he was a victim of the world, that things happened to him, that power lived outside of him, that the good was rare and the loss was certain. That self is real, and he has run your life for a long time, and right now he is fighting for his life. He is screaming, and the reason he is screaming is that he is dying. You do not feel that fear when you are far away from the thing. You feel it when you are close. The fear was never a sign of distance. It was never weakness. It was proximity. It is the sensation of standing at the door. So the next time that fear rises in you, that cold certainty that the good cannot last, I want you to smile at it, and I want you to say to it, "You are only this loud because we have arrived." So here is what I want you to do tonight. Only this. Do not try to do all three at once. Tonight, do one, and do it deeply. When you are already heavy, already half gone, when the daylight mind has loosened its grip and you are drifting, pick the one moment from today that tightened your chest. Just one. The moment that stung the most, and replay it the way you wish it had happened. See it, hear it, feel the relief of it going right, the loosening in your chest, the warmth where the tightness was, and then let that feeling, not the words, not the pictures, the feeling, carry you under. That is all. One moment, revised, slept upon. That is the whole practice tonight. That is one movement of the four, the full sequence, clearing the day, correcting the inner conversation, and sleeping in the end, is laid out step by step in Rewrite Tonight. If you have not opened it yet, comment, reset, or open the first link below. But even if you do nothing else tonight, even if you forget everything else I have said, revise one moment before you sleep. And when you comment reset, I do not want you to do it as a comment. I want you to do it as a declaration, a line drawn across your life, that you are done falling asleep as the person who lost the day, done borrowing your power from your circumstances, waiting for the world to grant you permission to feel well, done fearing a world that you yourself are dreaming into being every night. Reset is not engagement. It is not a word for an algorithm. It is you saying out loud to yourself, "Tonight, I sleep as someone new. You fall asleep as someone. Tonight, choose who. Now let me speak to the silence, because I know there has been silence. You have done the work on some nights, felt something real, and then looked at your life the next morning and seen nothing changed, and that silence has been eating at you. You have been reading that silence as proof that it does not work. Hear me. That silence is not absence. That silence is the gap between the assumption and the world catching up to it. It is not emptiness. It is gestation. The subconscious is the womb of creation. Neville gave us that word, womb, and nothing in a womb is visible while it is forming. You do not open the womb to check on the life inside it. You trust that what was conceived is becoming. The silence was never proof of nothing. It was the sound of something being made where you could not yet see it. So here is what I promise you, and I want you to remember that I am the one who told you this. One day, and that day is already decided, already set, already on its way. Something is going to arrive that once would have destroyed you. A loss, a number, a name, the kind of thing that used to take the floor out from under you. And you are going to feel only stillness. You will stand inside a moment that would have broken the old you, and you will feel calm, unmoved, whole. And in that stillness, you are going to hear my voice. You fall asleep as someone, and that night, you chose. Remember that I told you this. When it comes, remember that an old teacher told you it was already done. And there is one more thing. One thing that makes all three of these work at a depth almost no one ever reaches, and nearly every teacher gets it exactly backwards. They tell you to feel the wish, and they stop there. But there is a moment just after the feeling, where you must do the opposite of everything you have ever been told. You must let it go so completely that you forget you ever wanted it. Next time, I am going to show you how Neville learned to forget, and why forgetting, not wanting, is the final act of creation.